Yeah.
And now when you have young kids,
Yeah.
the young kids who know a lot of things these days.
Yeah.
So the kids could even be smarter than the parent.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
So then for them, reading is a bit of a challenge. So how can they be of help to their children?
So they're very, like, they're these, I see them, these kind of reader, learn to read books. Like now my daughter's 5, she's learning how to read. For simple stories, I tell her, read it to me.
Right.
She sits there, she gets her book, she starts reading. Slowly, she says the words out sometimes if she's struggling, and from what she's, you know, the phonics, she spells it out, you can get, oh, cuckoo, or something, right? But she can read it to me. She can read it to me, and that's another way of enjoying the experience together.
Okay.
Then she's learning, right? She's learning, and you are still there supporting her, even if your reading ability is not at the same level. But you're encouraging her, right? You're giving her space to read, and you're giving her space to teach you.
Right.
So you get on that journey together. So she sits, she reads to me, she goes slowly, she has one favorite story, she reads it, she reads it, she reads it, and by the end, she's so happy.
Right.
She's so happy. You sit there, you let her take her time, let her do it in her own way. And there's just so many different ways to make it fun, but she really feels like she's achieved something at the end. You know, she's so happy with herself. I've done it. I read my storybook myself.
Which is very important.
It's very important.
Right.
Yeah.
And looking at her children work best when there is some form of routine.
Yes.
So what time would you say is ideal for the story reading before perhaps they go to bed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in routine, and I know different parents have different ways of doing things, but for me, it works. And reading is part of the bedtime routine. So before bed, we'd read a bedtime story. They get to choose the story they want to read. We read it together. For my daughter who's learning to read, sometimes she'll want to read her story, then myself and my husband reads her a story. My son, we read him a story. And you know, it's amazing how much they absorb from what they read. Right. And I think we underestimate that. You know, a couple of days later, my son will come and tell me something that he read in one of the books. I'm like, I don't know, you know, he's quiet throughout the whole book, but he's listening, he's absorbing, right? Mm-hmm. So bedtime works because it's easiest to keep it consistent. Yeah. And now, before they're going to bed, they're like, story, story, story. It's normal. You know, you can't put them to bed without a story.
So, and how long is the story then? Because again, for the concentration span.
Yeah.
So how long is the story, or how long should the story be?
Oh, I mean, you're not reading for very long, right? You're reading for like 10, 15 minutes at max. And if like Super Lisu is for an older age bracket than my children, we're not going to read it all in one sitting. We'll read a few pages, get their bookmarks, very excited. We'll pick up the story tomorrow at the chapter that they've reached. And then you read it over a few days. But just something where you've got them enough attention, read it's a short story that gets them from beginning to end, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not a lot of time, it's just being deliberate about it.
Okay. Mm. And